Good afternoon, everyone. I can't believe I'm standing here today, feeling your emotional gazes and attentive ears, ready to listen to whatever I have to say. For those who don't know me, I am the very tall girl who arrived in 7th grade in 2019 to this dear school, coming from a very nice life of same school, same home, same friends, and the same routine since birth. I arrived to St. Andrew's Scott School scared to death, but fully open to discover this new world that now I call my home. The first memory I have in school takes me back to December of 2018, when we had our first formal gathering as a whole camada. It was a sort of welcome to secondary event, which took place in our dearly beloved and sort of traumatizing middle school gym. At that moment, I barely knew anybody, so I sat down with a few welcoming and smiling girls that up until this day I cherish as some of my closest friends. Being that everything and everyone was so new to me, I decided to take part of the ceremony as a bystander. I observed everything as if I was watching the first seconds of the fascinating movie that our journey in St. Andrews would turn into. I paid very close attention to every detail of the characters that would shape a huge part of the rest of my life, my classmates. I watched how tutor groups were listed through the microphone and names of anxious students were called out. Slowly and energetically, each one of us stood up when their names were called, and we sat down in 6 straight lines, with both friends and strangers. I remember how some students burst out with joy when they were told their new classmates. Others cried their eyes out as they were separated from their childhood friends. And others, like me, had no idea what to expect. Nothing. No clue whatsoever on whether the group was cool, nice, bad, good, boring or different. But I just knew I wanted to get to know everything and everyone in it. I hated the idea of not knowing what to expect, so I opened my mind to the possibility of feeling everything for the next 6 years. The only problem was that I didn't fully comprehend that the meaning of everything involved enduring the good and the bad, as well as the chaos and the peace that new friends could bring forward. If there is something that this school has taught me, is that wonderful things aren't achieved without its fair share of difficult elements. That when we accept our darkness, the light appears by default. I'm a firm believer of the phrase, even the moon needs darkness to shine, because nothing can exist if it doesn't have some shadows making it shine. I always ask myself, how would we ever know what true happiness felt like if we never endured real sadness? Let me tell you that for a great part of my life, my darkness was being an only child. Growing up, I loved being the center of attention of both of my parents, but I always felt the curiosity of what sharing the spotlight meant. In many levels, my greatest pain was never truly understanding what having a group of partners for life felt like, what having siblings that would be there for you and never abandon you was like. A few weeks ago, in an asado with some of my closest friends from school, we started to catch up on our lives, talking about end-of-the-year preparations, ending the IB, details of our trip to Punta Cana, about partners, friends, and family. And like the dignified theater kids that we are, we started to dance and sing, and simultaneously reenact our latest interesting news, and laughed non-stop for hours. There was one moment of pure laughter that I stopped to look at my friends, and I began to cry. I could not talk as I was emotional and slightly embarrassed. At first, they laughed at me because they thought it was a joke. Then they started to worry when the tears wouldn't stop coming, until I got the courage to let them know they were happy tears. Tears of realization that these girls weren't just my friends from school, they were my sisters. And today, I realized, as I looked around at my dear friends and classmates, how thankful I am to you all for allowing me to take you in as my sisters and brothers. You have become my siblings, whom I've had my differences with, but whom most of the time I love unconditionally. Because that is what a family entails, right? A family is a nucleus of people who will always love each other regardless of the situation, who will drive each other mad until understanding that ultimately we were all fighting for what we thought best for all. So I must say that within my darkness, in those moments when I allowed my inner thoughts in solitude to melt in, it was my parents at home and my siblings in school that brought me back to my light. And through the years, as I opened myself beyond the borders of my year group, I stumbled upon teachers and mentors who became my aunts and uncles, I met friends from other camadas that became my older siblings or my younger cousins. And it was then, when I allowed myself to feel the uncomfortable darkness, that I found the extended and huge family I always wished for, my dear school. This is why nowadays, listening to the sound of the Scottish pipes doesn't bother me anymore, and rather they water my eyes with nostalgia as their tunes reminisce to the feeling of home. Thank you, dear pipe band, for always carrying the anthem of this enveloping family that we called St. Andrews. I also wanted to thank every friend and mentor here today, because throughout these 6 years, they have made me realize that my purpose in life is to experience everything. As I said before, this school fosters firm and determined inquirers, and it planted a seed of curiosity in me that will never stop growing. I realized that in life, I wanted all. The good, the bad, the dark and the light. Because I think that's the definition of living that I love. I want to live so deeply and love even deeper and achieve goals that seem impossible, like filming a Hollywood movie, speaking numerous languages, or maybe opening my own hotel in the future. In fact, the other day I created my own notes list titled Goals in Life and To Do Next Year, ... This school has taught me that there are plenty of doors waiting to be opened by us, so that one day we can take a leap of faith and enter new worlds and possibilities. And now, once more, I feel like at that point in my life where I have a buffet of options of courses, activities, classes, and jobs I want to try in my next years to come. And in the first time in my life, I'm not that scared of failing or making the wrong choices, because I understand that there is more that I still don't know of and that I yet haven't tried. The school always believed in me, as did my friends and my classmates and my parents, allowing me to believe in myself. And also, I believe in the incredible potential within all of my fellow 133 classmates to go on and live fascinating and totally diverse lives with extraordinary and unique goals. I truly hope that each and every one of us goes on to find what our own definitions of living means to us. And in doing so, that we get to experience everything and anything. Remember that they will always encounter ourselves with the good and the bad, because life is all about the yin and the yang, the darkness and the light that makes life beautiful. Thank you for listening.